All right, Russian strikes on Ukraine's capital Kyiv killed at least one person and left a shop and school on fire. It was yet another night of terror for Kyiv. And these are the latest images showing the ferocity of the attack. Russia launched a new barrage of drones and missiles. Explosions were heard across the city as air defense units engaged in repelling the attack. Explosions lit up the night sky as the high-pitched sounds of drone engines echoed off the walls of the capital's high-rise buildings. Kyiv's mayor says that a subway station in central Kyiv, commercial property, shops, houses and also a kindergarten were damaged. In yet another tense and sleepless night for Kyiv residents, many rushed to take shelter in underground stations.
Before, when the Tu-95 bombers took off, they did not always target Kyiv. I do not remember the exact figures. If we remembered everything, we would have all died long ago. So we simply used to sit here. We just sat here. At 5 a.m. We went home and got some sleep. It was okay. Now it is no longer okay. Every single attack brings casualties.
Imagine a situation where you go out into the street and a person is shot right in front of you. Seeing all this, what fear you experience, your heart sinks, your eyes bulge. People experience this every day, this feeling.
Ukraine's Air Force said that Russia launched 426 drones and 24 missiles overnight across the country, that is, but that only 23 drones hit their targets. Moscow has repeatedly asserted that if it never targets civilians areas in Ukraine and says that its forces only struck Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Firefighters worked to clear rubble the morning after Russian strikes on Ukraine's capital. The damaged buildings show the ferocity of the Russian assault.
Last night, our capital city was subjected to a combined massive missile and drone attack from Russia. Once again, this month and last month, we see that they, Russia, are directing a very large number of drone strikes and cruise and ballistic missiles.
Russia has intensified strikes in recent weeks targeting cities far from the front line with drone and missile attacks. The strikes come days after Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kyiv had proposed a new round of peace talks to Moscow. The Kremlin said this month that it was ready to continue talks with Ukraine after US President Donald Trump gave Russia 50 days to strike a peace deal or face sanctions. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël, who is on a two-day visit to the war-torn country, visited one of the sites of a Russian strike in the Ukrainian capital, while rescuers are still going through the rubble.
This morning in Kiev, I made a point of visiting the sites that were bombed by Russian Leninern drones and missiles. It was a deadly series of attacks with one person killed, 7 wounded, including a child with multiple injuries, and metro stations, supermarkets and kindergartens bearing the brunt of the violence of these strikes.
And joining us live on the broadcast is Washim Bitilich, former German ambassador to NATO and former European diplomatic and security advisor to German Chancellor Helmut Kohl. Welcome to WION, Ambassador Bitilich. First up, of course, Russia has unleashed one of its largest aerial assaults on Ukraine. Your assessment of the situation as of now?
Well, I think it's a triple answer. What we have seen again in the last night in Kiev and in some other Ukrainian cities. First of all, it's an answer to the massive attacks of Ukrainians towards certain Russian cities in the last days. Interesting, the Russians are speaking about no casualties, but I have doubts because you do not have any independent control or answer. Second, it's the answer to the dialogue between Trump and Zelensky some days ago, because Trump asking Zelensky, why are you not attacking directly Moscow? And Zelensky's answer was, give us, please, the adequate arms, and then we could do so. And the third, let's say, answer is, don't forget, today at the same time, we are speaking now, there is the contact group on Ukraine meeting under the leadership of the German defense minister and the British defense minister. And the aim is accelerating delivery of appropriate arms to defend Ukraine. And this implies especially to the American agreement to deliver faster Patriot arms, because Patriot, you need them in order to fight against, let's say, missile attacks from the Russians, as yesterday done through this Russian Tu-95 Bear with a strategic bomber who has launched missiles from, let's say, from the region of Irkutsk till Ukraine.
Right, Ambassador Bitilich, you've clearly given an outline of the latest strikes by Russia on Ukraine. Just to add, when Trump asked Zelensky to strike Moscow directly, Zelensky clearly said that he requires those appropriate weapons, and Ukraine is still waiting for the delivery of the promised weapons. My question to you is that for how long perhaps can Ukraine endure this airborne onslaught by Russia without the appropriate weapons which Zelensky has been asking for?
Well, it will be becoming more and more difficult for the Ukrainian side, let's say, to resist to these attacks of the Russians. The Russians do not seem at all to be tired by their attacks. They continue, they even reinforce, they make progress on the ground, and especially what I have to add is Putin does not seem to be impressed at all by Trump's pressure, the famous 50 days he has announced, or by the European sanctions. The European decided the day before yesterday the last package of sanctions, the 18th one. And his objective remains clear, the hostile takeover of Ukraine as a whole. And the question is for the Western world and for all observers, what are the right sanctions or the right steps to really to stop this war, to stop these attacks against civilian objectives? And we know Putin is to some extent under pressure at home, but it's not sufficient, let's say, to give a serious answer to Trump's demand or to the demand of any other friends who are asking for, let's say, the stop of this war.
Right, Ambassador Bitilich, thank you so much for joining us here on WION and sharing insights with us.
As always, a pleasure for me.